everyone, it's Lele.
And it's Mikey.
And we have a guest today. We actually have our dear mother here.
And it's not Kermit the Frog.
No. So, yeah, anyway, today, Mikey, we're actually talking about something serious. And our mom has come to be a guest and help discuss this topic because it's super important.
How is it super important?
Well, we want to talk about mental health today and suicide because actually on the 21st of November, it should be the anniversary of our brother who we lost in his early 20s to suicide's death. So 'tis the season where lots of that kind of happens is around the holidays. And we just thought that it would be a good idea to, talk about it a little bit. Maybe get someone to decide they need to talk to someone or someone to talk to someone who probably needs to be talked to. Know what I mean?
Get some help?
Mm-hmm. I think it'd be great to encourage everyone around the holidays. Reach out to people you don't normally talk to. Check in with people who are a little more of a loner. You never know. So, anyways, we all know that there are...
Top. Sorry. I forgot to not open my beverage. I need to open my beverage before we start.
We should also talk about addiction. No, I'm just joking.
What do you mean? It's just soda.
Yeah, okay. With coffee, though. He's got coffee there. He's Anyway, so the point is that we just want to talk about how it's important to make sure your mental health is well. Like exercise, for example.
Yeah, big time.
Is a good way, yeah. And
I have a question about that.
Go ahead.
Does getting in and out of my car count?
Only if you park it like 3 miles away from where you're going.
Oh, okay, well, then I guess that doesn't count. What if I get in and out 10 times before I drive?
I don't know, it's kind of like squats.
That'd be a leg workout, right?
Burn some calories that way. Do a little finger tapping on the steering wheel while you drive. That's got to do something.
Yeah. So, we're going to talk about different things you can do to help fight depression. Do you have one you want to throw in, Mom?
Eating really well.
Okay.
Good diet.
Yeah, a lot of candy. I thought that could make you happy. Michael.
And cheeseburgers.
Yeah, cheeseburgers always make me smile.
You got to eat your vegetables.
Gotcha.
That's why there's tomatoes and lettuce in a burger. I promise, folks, I'm not a slob.
But he does like his burgers.
I do like my burgers, yeah.
So, another one is getting sun, like actual natural sunlight, which we know is hard during the cold months, right? Yeah. You want to stay inside. And
all you vampire people, just plug your ears.
No, but honestly, if you can even get yourself to go out for 5 minutes, it would help. It's something, but ultimately 15 would be great.
Yeah, no, vitamin D is amazing. It's actually a vital nutrient that we need. And it's important that we make the time to get out because our forefathers who, farmed and had to work outside all the time got plenty of that. But when you are like me, you go to work and you've got a window with shades and you literally don't get any sunshine for 8 hours a day. And then you go home and sit in your house and not be outside. So it's important.
Yeah, definitely. I also think it's good to talk to yourself about or take note of what kind of self-talk that you give yourself, right? So, I have a tendency to be really hard on myself and notice what I feel like I'm not doing the best at regularly. And, you want to ask yourself, how much of the stuff are you throwing at yourself that's negative over positive?
Right. Your subconscious is very powerful, and it'll believe what you tell it. So you do have to be careful what you say to yourself because it has a very large impact.
Well, if you'll even just take a few minutes a day,
What's the matter? Frog got your throat?
Yeah, we're talking about frogs, right? So just taking a few minutes a day to sit down and be self-aware, just kind of,
Yeah.
sit, think about yourself, think about how you've been thinking and feeling during that day and interacting with others. And more self-awareness is helpful in every aspect of your life, but especially if you're, have a tendency towards negative self-talk, it would be really good to.
It's actually a good exercise too. You stand in front of a mirror and you say cheesy things.
Like, I'm sexy.
No, if you literally are having a bad day and you want to just turn your life around, literally stand in front of the mirror and be like, I like myself. You're sexy. I like myself.
Yeah, just
And tell me that won't like immediately have a real physical change in your whole body. So
especially if you make funny faces and say it in different funny ways, next thing you know, you'll be laughing with yourself.
yeah. Or I can always just come over and tell you a joke, or we can stand in front of the mirror together and I can say something funny.
Yeah,
put you in a good
we
mood.
can send them for tips. If you're willing to tip, we'll send Mikey.
Better be a really big tip.
But I like the way that Healthline states it. It says, meet yourself where you are. So, acknowledge what you do right. Don't lie to yourself, because yourself knows lies, But try to give yourself some positive reinforcement. When you catch yourself saying bad stuff, stop yourself and tell yourself something good that you know is validly good about you. Try to counteract it.
I like myself.
Or you could do that.
See, it made you smile.
Well, I have this little ditty. I don't know if it's silly to say it right now.
Go ahead.
It goes like this. I love myself. I think I'm grand. I go to the movies. I hold my hand. I put my arm around my waist. And when I get fresh, I slap my face.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
Ow!
I don't know.
That didn't put me in a good mood, Mom. I tried your method. I mean, I liked it kind of when I touched my leg myself a little bit, but then the slap, it kind of stings. Ow.
Well, you shouldn't have gotten so fresh. It's just when I get fresh, I slap my face.
I was just trying to follow your instructions.
So, we're going to talk about, of course, the natural ways of fighting depression here today. So, if you feel like you need to go and talk to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, you do what's right for you. We are proactive for natural ways of doing things here. We don't enjoy swallowing lots of pills in this family.
I take an allergy pill every day.
Me too.
And I have a bunch of vitamins my wife bought that I'm supposed to be taking that I don't take every day.
Exactly. I feel like I'm already popping enough vitamins, but
There's just so much nutrients that are missing now in our overly processed foods that I
feel like you have to pop the pills.
now I'm feeling depressed about myself because I don't take my vitamins like I'm supposed to. Wait, hold on, I can fix it. I like myself.
So, anyways, I do want to say, though, if you do decide to go and get some prescription to help you with that, be aware of the warning signs on the label. Some side effects for some of those kinds of things can be suicide, and it's important to note that. And if you do start something, make sure that you let other people know. So if they notice a change in your behaviors, they can point it out to you.
Yeah, because you might not be aware of it.
Yeah, you might not see it yourself. And, we would hate to have you end up not being here anymore because nobody knew you were on it, thought you were acting weird, but it was just a thing you were going through. You know what I mean? So
well, and it really can be a great option for some folks. Mm-hmm. Everyone's different.
It is.
I have a friend from high school, and she dealt with some serious postpartum is what they call it after baby.
That can be bad sometimes.
And I actually thought it was really cool. She made it known to everyone. She did a little Facebook post and took a picture of her blue pill. She says, "Hello, this is my blue pill, and I take it every day, and it's making a huge impact in my life. I'm doing so much better."
That's good.
So I just sent a reply saying, "That's so awesome, and thank you for being open and letting people know that It's because it's easy, like in social media,
Yeah.
for everything to appear great and grand. You know, you
Yeah.
see the pictures of the vacation and the happy birthday wishes, and then the anniversary message to their spouse, but you don't know what's really going on in their life. So I think it's cool when people openly share struggle or when they're having a problem.
Yeah.
Because I like to see that too, because it's nice to know. Sometimes like you said, we're really hard on ourselves. It's easy to come from that position where we're like, man, everyone's else's life is so great, and mine sucks so bad, and and then you can really get depressed. So sometimes it's cool to hear about other people's struggle.
Yeah.
And then you get reminded, okay, life's not easy. Everyone has their tough stuff they have to deal with, and for one person it can be cancer. For another person, it can be really bad allergies, or another person battles real depression. So we all have our challenges and our stuff.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes too, it's so easy to get caught in a routine. And sometimes if that routine doesn't have positive things in it, we don't realize how what a bad space over time we can get in. And so sometimes we need a reset button. That's why it's so important to interact with people and be open with people so that so people can keep you in check, I guess you'd say.
And it's perfect that you said that, because the next one I wanted to talk about, which by the way, Healthline has a really great list of stuff you can do. So I'm using some of their stuff because it's great. So you can check them out online. They have a great list. They also have like ways to connect you to different things to help. So just so you're aware. And we will put a the number for the International Suicide or hotline on this post, just so that it's there if anyone feels like they need it. And there's nothing wrong with calling and asking for help, especially from someone who doesn't know you. They don't know the people in your life to talk about what you talk about.
Yeah.
Sometimes just talking about something is a big release, and we have a tendency in our culture now to feel like we always have to be smiling and okay, and we're not. And it's really good to throw things verbally out to someone. It's a way of releasing some of those feelings you're carrying.
Yeah. Well, and I didn't think about that. That's a good point. I can call my good friend if I'm really struggling, but maybe I don't want them to have to carry that weight.
Yeah.
So it is kind of cool that you can call a number and just talk to a stranger.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about putting your baggage on someone else you care about.
Yeah.
But you have an outlet to vent those feelings and get through a tough spot.
And they're going to give you valid advice. They're people who are trained to talk to people who are struggling. So, I know that sometimes when I talk to some of my friends, I don't know that their advice is necessarily the best advice. And sometimes people don't really know how to help you. They'll be like, oh, I want to help you, but I'm not sure what to tell you or what to do. And those people have training. So, there's no shame in that.
Yeah.
And often when someone calls you, they're not, you just need to listen. They're not always asking for advice. You just need to listen and pay attention. And I think it would be helpful I don't know if you're going to talk about it, to maybe know what some of the warning signs are.
Yeah, we definitely will.
Because on the part of the person who's, finding out that something's going on for someone is taking seriously, what they're experiencing, and not dismissing it in some fashion or another, like, oh, hey,
you're just upset.
You're just upset
fine,
or something like, and so, yeah.
So, okay. What Michael actually kind of touched on is another point, and it's know that today isn't...
Lele, my name's Mikey.
Oh, yeah, it's Mikey. Sorry, Mikey.
Even though it is Michael.
Mikhail.
Mikhail is my Russian name. Okay, sorry.
So, sorry, Mikey. So know that today isn't indicative of tomorrow. So, because you're having a hard time today, try not to tell yourself that tomorrow and the next day and next week is going to be the same. You want to make changes, because, if you do the same thing you've always done, you're going to get the same things you've always gotten.
Yeah.
So you want to do make
what do they say?
changes.
The definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result.
Yeah, exactly. And we're all guilty of doing that sometimes. I've done it before. But the point is that you need to remind yourself that things aren't always going to be like they are, and take steps. If you're miserable, do something different. Like, shake it up.
Even just one thing. So I think sometimes, too, people make the mistake that they want to change too much about themselves all at once, and it gets overwhelming. And the cool thing about just picking one thing, you pick one thing, and then when you do that thing, it's very empowering. You know, it feels good.
Yeah.
It's the same concept of when you get up in the morning and you make the bed, there's something different about the day because you started it off accomplishing something, right? I actually had I heard someone talk about that. He was a military guy, and he talks about the importance of making your bed every morning for that very reason. It's like, okay, I started off my day with accomplishing
something,
a goal. So you could even just pick one thing. It's like, okay, because I could be hard on myself and be like, okay, I need to lose weight. I need to, read some self-help books. You make this huge list, and it's like, okay, for this week, I'm just going to focus on getting my workout every day.
Yeah.
And then every time you do that, it's empowering and it gives you more excitement towards progressing in your life.
Yeah, even if it's like
once you've done it, once you've done it for a week or two, because it usually takes a couple weeks to make a habit, right?
It does.
So once you get that down, it's like, okay, now I can focus on another thing. And then over time, your life can completely transform. And it was so much easier than being like, okay, these are all the things I hate about myself, and I have to do all these things. Because the reality is, the way that human behavior works, we have two driving forces behind everything that we do. And it's the need to feel pleasure and the desire to avoid pain. So literally every decision you make every day comes down to those two forces.
Yeah, and your ego is what tries to protect you from the pain, but doesn't always help you.
right. But think about that. It's like, okay, as humans, we don't want pain. We always want pleasure. But the problem is we can't always be in pleasure mode. There's different things that happen. But that's why people will turn to substances and drugs is because it's an easy way and a quick way to get pleasure.
Yeah, well, and it's escape.
Yeah.
On some level, it's an escape, no matter what level that is.
Right. It's that way to get that to initially avoid the pain or whatever we're running from and get that quick pleasure. And that's why drugs and some of those things are so dangerous.
Yeah.
Is because it's an easy way to forget your problems. But then, of course, we know what happens over time.
Yeah. Well, and
when that gets out of control.
Yeah. Basically, you just need to ask yourself, if you start doing something all the time, and it doesn't have to even be drugs. There's all kinds of addictions. If you notice that you're doing something all the time, like I battle with a video game addiction, anyway, what the point is I know Mikey does over there too, but
what do you mean? I don't have a problem.
So my point is
I actually play a lot less than I used to. I got lots of kidlets at home.
Yeah.
I got to try and be a responsible dad.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, if I'm ever in a bad space, my two big ways to escape or feel better is like listening to music really loud.
That one's a big one for you.
So that's one of my venting things. I've got a nice theater set up in my house. So I'll go up there if I'm in a bad spot, crank some music. And music is a good coping mechanism for me. And then also the computer.
Yeah.
Which the computer one, I mean, obviously you can't leave a stereo blaring 24/7, but it's a lot easier to play a computer game a lot.
Yeah.
But then the problem is if I'm avoiding my things in my life that I don't want to deal with, they're not going away.
Yeah.
Or I'm neglecting my kids.
It helps with the anxiety too, right? Mm-hmm. So like if you sit there and you have stuff that you're putting off, then you're going to keep worrying about it. If you get it done, you're not going to worry about it anymore. Mm-hmm. So like another thing a point to be brought up is do the opposite of what depression voice suggests. So if you're stuck in a depression, if your mind's all like, I'm just not going to get out of bed, don't listen to that. If it's like, I just want to have another drink, or I just want to not do my dishes, like all those negative, depressed thoughts that come, just like do the opposite of it. It'll be like, make it a game.
Don't listen to the voice.
It's like saying, you don't have me, I have you.
Yeah.
I'm in charge, not this thought or this feeling.
Are you trying to say that we talk to ourselves?
I do.
I don't talk to myself. I feel like that Gollum monologue, where he's like,
Right.
You don't have any friends. Nobody likes you.
It's like that.
and he's like,
I'm not listening. Go away.
It's exactly that.
I want to go back to one thing about
Go ahead.
this idea of tomorrow. Tomorrow things might change.
Yeah.
So that's the thing you want to say to somebody who's maybe in a really dark space is, okay, let's say they're even talking about suicide. You can say to them, hey, how about, that's something you could choose to do. How about you wait 24 hours? And let's talk about something you can do right now. And you pick that one thing like you were talking about, because the other aspect is a sense of hope. Usually someone who is in that space, they have lost all hope.
yeah, they're hopeless.
They're hopeless. And so you say, okay, you're not going to tell them, don't do that. You just say, how about you wait 24 hours and let's have you try this.
Yeah.
And at least,
I wish I would have done that with some of my big financial purchases in life. Wait 24 hours and see if you want to do it tomorrow. No, I want this now. I have to have this Audi.
No, but like, and as people, in order to be happy, I've figured out over the years, accomplishing things is important. If you don't, it helps you lose self-value. So to even just accomplish anything, like even if you do a 5-minute workout or freaking 4 push-ups every day.
Or if
that's
you get in
something.
and out of your car 10 times before you go to work.
Yeah, or you do that. Nobody.
I
will
tell
think
you,
you're
I'm
crazy.
gonna start a new workout program for people.
And people are gonna be
People are gonna
looking
be
at them
like,
like,
Workouts for people who don't want to work out.
see other people in the parking lot all like looking at you.
what's going on with this guy, in and out, in and out.
Like, are you not sure what you want, sir?
Yeah. Did you forget something and then forget what you forgot and then remember and then forget again?
So yeah, set attainable goals. Make sure that there's something, I mean, even like maybe your house is dirty and you feel overwhelmed by that because you're already depressed and that's how it got that way. Just be like, hey, I'm just going to take out the trash today. That's something. It's a step. It's something.
I'm going to watch a TV show that has a clean house in it. Wow, look at that beautiful clean house.
I'm going to blow on my furniture.
There you go. Dust it off.
Yeah.
No, but
Just spread it around
and reward your efforts. Feel like celebrating
with a cheeseburger.
or a cake or confetti, whatever. Do something to recognize yourself when you actually make
Or some Brussels
success.
sprouts for all you weirdos out there.
I don't even like Brussels sprouts.
I am success. I actually love
I'll eat
them.
any other
My wife loves
I love
baked.
them.
She likes baked Brussels sprouts.
I love Brussels sprouts.
Or like air fried. I'm just like,
I guess I'm the one who
can
likes
I have a carrot instead?
So, and try to create routines. Like Michael was saying, it can take up to 2 weeks to do that. But if you could even add one thing every day onto your routine, then next thing you know, you have all these things that you've accomplished. Start with one. After 2 weeks, add another. Like it's all about just trying to change and go out somewhere. If you are secluding yourself, that's very dangerous.
Yes, we all need human interaction. We're social creatures. Mm-hmm. And what's crazy is even the super introverted people that just inherently aren't people, they still need it too.
Yeah,
as
they
much
do.
as they hate to admit it. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they need a little push or a shove to get out. But I guarantee you, when they actually do it, they're being enriched and they're gonna do a lot better because of it.
Okay, and I know there are people who hate this kind of stuff, but honestly, going out into nature, you would be surprised how much that can affect you. And there's the thing called like grounding. Some people believe that it's extremely good for you. We weren't supposed to be off of the ground. We make shoes, we make pavement, we make all these things. If
Are you
just
telling me to take my shoes off?
and stick them in the grass and just stand there for a minute.
I've got really bad plantar
It might
fasciitis
help.
lately.
You never know.
With my luck, I'll take my shoes off and get like 5 goat heads shoved into my arch.
Well,
Be like, I'm not feeling any better right now.
watch where you stand.
Those suckers blend in, all right? I'm just saying.
Use a broom.
What starts as a good thing could really send you over the edge.
Sweep off your dirt and then stand
Sweep
on
off
it.
it. Let me do a pre-goat head sweep before I remove my shoes.
And I know it might sound silly, but when I take off my shoes and I put it in the grass or on the dirt, I actually almost feel like energy.
Get a
Like,
connection with
yeah,
Mother Earth.
Like I'm plugging in a battery that has been unplugged for too long. And so
Maybe you'll hear the vibrations from
Yeah.
aliens that live in the planet core.
yeah.
No, it's the mushrooms.
Maybe they'll take me on vacation.
Sorry,
it's the mushrooms.
previous episode reference, folks.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
She's all, it's the mushrooms.
Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about the kind you put in your mouth. I'm talking about mushrooms that they send all sorts of energy out through the underneath.
Yeah,
the
well,
ground.
I'm sure both things do send out all kinds of energy. But anyway, like Michael was saying, listening to music, listening to negative music can sometimes bring you down. Sometimes listening to a song where they're feeling the way you're feeling, but expressing it better, almost feels like a release, like talking to someone. But make sure you don't listen to too many dark songs.
Yeah.
Put on something peppy. You'd be surprised how fast it can pep you up. Like, in some of it, it's the dumbest songs too.
Yeah. Look at The Lion King, where he's like sitting there with Scar, and he's like, nobody knows the trouble I've seen. And he's like, can you sing something more exciting? I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts.
See, diddly-dee.
Anything but that.
I know it sounds dumb, but back in the day when I was getting in a bad mood, when it was like big on the song list, I'd put that Maya He song on.
Maya hee, Maya hoo, Maya ha, Maya ha.
See, like, put on something that's like super peppy. If you're a pop person, do a little Taylor Swift.
Or maybe if you're a little more nerdy,
Shake it off.
if you're a little more nerdy, hit up some K-pop, yo.
Yeah, I freaking love K-pop. Listen to some Shiny, man.
Shining.
Ring ring or ding ding ding
Ring
dong.
ding dong.
That was a really good one. Anyway, our point is like, find a song that's peppy. Find a one that's fun. You know?
If you're listening to like death metal or like only Slipknot, you might have a problem. And this is coming from a guy who loves some heavy, dark stuff.
Me too. Like Tool. I love
But
Tool.
if you're really in a bad space, you probably don't want to listen to that.
I mean, Breaking Benjamin is also good, but should I listen to it all day when I'm depressed? Probably not. Just like be
What do you
aware.
mean? He has some very melodic and beautiful songs.
Yes, he does, but it's not exactly peppy, is my point.
Okay.
Then I aged myself because I loved putting on like big band music, like what's it called? Like Philippa Sousa, do 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 do. That stuff, what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Horns and everything.
Yeah, with the horns and everything.
You know
it
what?
can
There's
really get
nothing
you
wrong with
going.
that. There's a lot of people in all kinds of different generations who appreciate older music.
Yeah.
So you might even have someone there who's like 12 who's like, ooh, I'm feeling ya, and like pulling out a record.
If you want some really cheesy peppy music, you can listen to stuff from the 50s and the 60s.
Hey, what? Come on, it's
The
great.
diner music.
And another one, if you finally decide you're just done with your mess, when my kids would get really down about cleaning up and stuff, I used to put on the song or start singing the song Yakety Yak. And I don't know if you've heard that, but it's got a good beat. It's all, just finished cleaning up your room. And it's got like the horns and all that. Let's see the dust fly with that broom. And it gets
Little
all
baritone
heavy.
sax.
Yeah, and like if you're feeling like you're looking around your house and you're being eaten by depression, garbage, dirtiness, throw that on. Wiggle your butt around a little. Like start picking stuff up.
I think
you
the
might be
first
happy.
time I was introduced to that song was from the movie The Great Outdoors.
That was such a good movie.
Because they're driving and they're
John
listening to that
Candy.
song. Anyway.
Yeah. But anyway, my kids would start laughing, and instead of being mad, they'd eventually start singing along. So that also is a trick for parents, by the way. Look up Yakety Yak. Okay, and then loved ones. Remember, you have people who love you, and reach out to the people who love you. It's good to talk to people who know you and understand you. People you grow up with know you on a level that other people don't because they know your roots. And, if you even have a good friend like that, or you have a newer friend because you don't really have any of your older friends who just gets you, talk to someone like that. It doesn't even have to be about your problems. just talk to them. You'd be surprised how much better you can feel just connecting with someone who understands you.
I've got some close friends that I'd put in that category, where I just randomly reach out and talk, and anytime I talk to them, I always get in a better space.
That's good. And then we've also got, like, some of you aren't really as good at talking to people. So you could write in a journal or write a letter to someone about how you're feeling. If you feel like you're not good at expressing, or you feel awkward or uncomfortable expressing the troubles you're going through verbally, writing is another way that you could reach out for help, or even just talk about with yourself how you're feeling.
That's something I've never done.
I used to keep.
I get writer's cramp in about 30 seconds. I'm like, okay, I'm 2 sentences in. Oh, my fingers. Can't handle it. I could type on a computer, though. I can crank that stuff out.
No, you can do it that way.
There you go. And then try something new entirely is another one. I mean, come on. Let's say you really are like, that's it. I'm ready to kill myself. You might as well go skydiving. What do you have to lose?
Other than your life.
Well, the point is, yeah. So, like, be strapped to someone. Get that thrill. Like, want to shake things up. Like, I'm not saying that's what you should do, but my point is,
Yeah,
try something new.
Go do some laser tag, or go horseback riding.
Yeah, or if you always wanted to knit, whatever. It's all about helping break the routine. But think about, is there something that I've always wanted to try, I haven't, or something I've never done before?
Or in sampling new things, you might find a new passion that you didn't even know you had.
Yeah. And I knew someone who was depressed, and they went and started doing that. It's that extreme exercise stuff that everybody was doing for a while.
Oh.
I can't remember what it's called right now.
Yeah, they have a bunch of locations across the United States.
Not hot yoga.
No, it's like hardcore exercise, like nuts.
They're flipping tires and running and doing all that crazy stuff that Rocky Balboa does.
I knew someone who got into that when they were depressed, and it turned into this passion, and then they met a whole bunch of people in the community who were doing it and made a whole bunch of friends and started dating someone.
It's something fit. CrossFit.
CrossFit.
Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, that is exactly what I was thinking.
It was on the edge of my brain for just so
job.
long. It
Good
finally
job.
surfaced. It was beautiful.
It is a gem. Look, you're wonderful.
I like myself.
I knew that was coming.
Okay, volunteering is also a great way to help with stuff. And it's around Christmas.
Serve other people.
And Thanksgiving.
That's very, very gratifying.
Yeah, because it makes you feel so good. Like, you don't even have to, so what if you're just one person? Call up the homeless shelter. Say, is there a day I can come in and help? My mom, one of our favorite memories growing up was she'd take us to, around Christmas time, here and there throughout, she would take us to old folks' homes to visit old folks who don't get visitors during the holidays. And I remember meeting this lady with Alzheimer's who went from being a cheerleader to a teacher to me being her daughter to doing dances for me. And I was absolutely delighted, and I was happy to be whoever she wanted me to be. And she was just elated, and nobody would have come to visit her. We ask at the desk, who are people who don't get visitors? And you have no idea how good that feels. Yeah,
I actually remember I used to kind of drag my feet.
Yeah.
But then I'd always really enjoy it and be super happy that we did.
You know what I hate? I regret that I never took my kids to do it.
Oh.
That's something good to pass on.
Yeah.
We
have a right next to where we live, we have like a VA.
Yeah, see, even that.
Retirement place or hospital.
Yeah.
And so we would go there, and one thing we do is we do Christmas carols. So we'll go from room to room and sing to some of the seniors there. Mm-hmm. And it's cool to watch their faces.
Yeah, it makes
light
you
up.
feel happy, and it makes you feel good, because guess what you just did? You thinking that you were worthless and a failure have just made someone's day, maybe even more than that.
You know what? When you bring this up, it makes me think of something kind of cool I watched relatively recently. It was a YouTube video of someone who went on a busy street in like a city, and they were holding a sign saying offering free hugs.
Aww.
And it was a video of just someone holding this sign, and random people would walk up and then gab a hug, and they'd always have a smile on their face. And holy cow, this made me
Get emotional?
There was this one person that must have been having a really, really tough day, and they walked up and they gave him a hug and they just started bawling. And so that person, just in putting themselves out there to offer kindness up and offer a hug, or like, totally could have changed that person's life. So it was kind of cool to watch that video. It's one of those videos where like I got clickbaited into it. I watched it. I'm like, I'm crying. What?
You're crying.
What am I doing? But you just don't know what people are going through, and I feel like it's kind of sad. It seems like our society is getting more and more to themselves, especially in like the big metropolitan areas.
Yeah.
People don't reach out or care as much, and it seems like there's just so much of me, myself, and I, instead of watching out for each other. So it was cool to see that video of a person in a city just hold up a sign, offering hugs, and have such a cool, impactful thing happen.
Yeah.
To strangers, people they don't even know.
Yeah.
So
Well, I remember when my son took his life, that one thing that helped me to get through it, I was amazed, the experience of people coming and giving me a hug.
Yeah.
I actually felt like I was lifted. I will
like
never
they
be
take
the same.
like they take a little piece of the burden away.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
each hug.
Yeah, they give me some love, and then they take some of that burden, and it sustained me. And so I'd like to say that. I also want to mention that when you go out and give yourself away, like you say, you start to realize that you have value.
Yeah.
That you can do something for someone else that's appreciated.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you also sometimes realize you don't have it so bad, because you'll get around other people and see that there's a situation might be much more challenging, much more worse than you. And I think that sometimes gets you back into
it can kind of shake you out of
clearer
it.
perspective about what's going on for you.
So I actually challenge all of you this holiday season to go out and do something like that. It seems like the holidays have gotten so commercialized, and they've pushed away from the important thing, which is being around and loving people and being there for people. So I encourage you, make a new tradition with your family. Teach your kids.
Don't tell my wife that. We already have enough. She's like the holiday queen. She like turned to me and she's like, if I were to pass away, would you still do anything with the kids?
I'll help you. I'll help you, Michael.
I'll be like, in your honor, I will make sure that we don't just do nothing. But she's always got fun activities and things going on. But
I'm talking about the charitable kind.
Yeah.
So, I even think that it would be cool if we arranged as a big group as a family to go to an old folks home this holiday, a big group of us, and just go visit everyone. Let's bring ourselves there too. And, put it in honor of our lost brother that took his life all those years back.
I know a good way to spread Christmas cheer.
What's that?
Toilet papering. Go hit all the neighbors.
Now you're arrested now. You mean, how about you show up at the door and hand them a roll?
Yeah, no doubt.
Toilet paper.
Hey, for a time there when we had that toilet paper shortage during the pandemic, that would have been a welcome thing. It's like, please, toilet paper my house. I can't find any at the store.
Oh, geez. So, and anyways, try to be grateful. Like, remind yourself what you have to be grateful for. Because, like like our mom was saying, you have a opportunity to remind yourself that it could be worse. It's not as bad, because when you get depressed, you start to hyper focus on all the negative stuff.
Yeah.
So if you remind yourself the good things, it can help sometimes.
Yeah, I actually went to Africa for a ministry, and I was there for 2 years, and it was crazy because I went through a massive amount of culture shock when I got there. But then I had the same thing happen when I came back to the United States. And I remember one time, because you don't realize, especially in the United States or some of these more developed countries, you take for granted a lot of things, right? And I remember when I came back here, I went to like a super Target. And where I was at in Africa, there was like hyperinflation, like the worst that there's ever been anywhere. Mm-hmm. And the economy was rough, and you could have money but go to the store and not get things. Anyway, it was a pretty crazy time. It was very enriching in my life, and I'm grateful for that experience. But I came back here. I'm at the super Target, and if you want, look at our cereal aisle. Like, we have a whole huge aisle just for cereal. and I see the cereal aisle, and I'm starting to get a little emotional and overwhelmed by this massive store of just stuff that I can get. Then I see this little kid whining at his mom, I want a candy bar. And I'm thinking, man, I'm going to teleport you to Africa where you're lucky if you get one, or maybe 2 meals in a day. And so I got a little emotional in the store, but it's just a reminder that we have we have running water, electricity. I mean, we're so pampered in so many things.
Yeah, and first world problems, right?
Yeah. And sometimes we need to remind ourselves, like, even as bad as you think your life is or how hard it is, there are other people out there that are struggling to eat every day.
Yeah.
So.
And just even the one thing, how you said, if you could find one thing to do differently, if you could even find one thing to be grateful for.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You're right.
That you choose is okay, what am I grateful for? And pick that up.
And, even watching some stuff on things like that can help you too, because then you realize, I don't know, maybe there's some donations you can make or something you can do to help someone who has it way worse than those. Like we have a family friend that we grew up with who went to Africa to educate people on AIDS when he was a young adult. And he said one of the most profound experiences he had was this cute little boy was lingering around him when he was getting ice cream. So he decided to buy the little boy an ice cream. He watched the little boy run over to a big group of friends, and he took a lick and passed it along. And all these kids sat there and all took a lick and passed it around, like 8 kids, so that they all could have some ice cream. And he started to cry, because this little boy could have hogged that to himself. And he wanted to share it with other people. Shared it with all of these friends, and I don't know, like.
Don't ask me for a lick of my ice cream. I'm not giving anybody any. I'd be that kid that's like, yes, hey guys, look what I got.
Suckers! So you would be the person no one wants to share with.
I wouldn't have given the guy who bought the ice cream a good, memorable experience. Like he had.
Okay. All right. I want to kind of push through the last couple I want to bring up so we can talk about signs for people in your lives who you might
really
not realize have that issue. Because the worst feeling is losing someone and not knowing that anything was even wrong, I think. The other one is, believe it or not, get enough sleep. We have a tendency to not get enough sleep in our culture now. And getting enough sleep helps your brain stay clear. It helps your body be good and healthy. It also making sure you get, have a scheduled sleep schedule that
structured sleep schedule.
Thank you. Sleep cycle. Then it actually will help you get better quality sleep, and that helps you think clearer and feel better in general.
And if you can afford it, it's worth it. Get a good mattress. Just saying. I sleep very good on my Tempur-Pedic mattress with my adjustable base and my 0G position.
Don't talk about your lovely bed.
Oh my gosh. A whole new world. Like, I go to sleep and I wake up and I'm like, I don't remember that. Like, I feel pretty rested. And I'm like, I don't remember tossing or turning. I didn't wake up hot. So invest in a good mattress, folks.
If you can.
And Tempur-Pedic, if you want to be a sponsor of our program, feel free to.
We would love.
Feel free to reach out.
Yeah, we'll advertise you.
I will promote your mattress that I sleep on.
For some monies.
Yeah, but what's funny is I found now that I'm getting a little bit older, I'm knocking on 40. I need more sleep than I used to. I used to be able to get away with 6 or 7 hours and function fine. Now if I get 6 or 7 hours, I look like a dang raccoon.
Yeah, I know.
With black around my eyes, and I'm like,
you age like 10 years when you, like, I feel like I look like 10 years older when I don't sleep.
I made the mistake the other night of playing a computer game until like midnight. I'm like, I'll be fine. I only got like 6 hours of sleep. I wake up the next day, I'm like, I was really debating like calling in sick, faking sick at work, because I'm like, how am I going to get through my work day? Yeah, anyway, big squirrel, but sleep, muy importante.
Okay, and then the other thing I really want to bring up is that you need to also, aside from all that we threw out at you, you need to accept the validity of your emotions. Like, your emotions are valid and they matter. And it's good for you to acknowledge them and not just try to push them aside or get angry at yourself for them. They are valid. We are humans. We have feelings. And you know what? Someone can have it worse, but maybe they handle things that are worse better. You know what I mean? We don't know people's different tolerance levels. Maybe something that seems like not a big deal to someone else is really a big deal to you. And it may seem to them like it's nothing to even be upset about. And that is just coming from their own perspective. And it's not necessarily true coming from yours. So, validate your feelings and
you don't have to compare yourself to someone else. We're all unique.
Yeah, and also don't judge people if they're really struggling with something that you feel like is just stupid. That is not your right to judge. You are different than the person who is going through that. And for them, that might be one of the most devastating things they're going through in their life. So have some compassion for yourself and for other people. And don't disvalue your feelings.
Absolutely.
Okay. So let's talk about warning signs. You want to start with some of them, Mom?
Let's see. Well, one of the warning signs that I think you need to pay attention to is if people start withdrawing. Mm-hmm. You notice that they're not coming around like they used to. They, maybe you're used to talking.
They're being more of a recluse.
They're being more of a recluse. You're thinking, wait, I haven't talked to that person in a week or so, and I used to talk to them almost daily. What's going on for them? And so I think withdrawal is one of the first things. People start to feel like they're not okay. They're unhappy, and they realize that they're not a good space, and so they'll withdraw. So that's one of the things that comes to my mind first.
So the Suicide Prevention Resource Center says that if someone starts talking about wanting to die or to kill themselves, that person's an immediate risk.
Yeah, because they've already thought about it a lot, probably usually before they vocalize it.
Yeah, or if they're looking for a way to kill themselves, searching online to obtain, a gun or a knife. If you notice something like that, that's serious. Talking about feeling hopeless or having no reason to live. Anytime someone starts talking like being here has no value anymore, that's serious. You need to address that right now. That's not that's serious.
That's 911 mode. That's a real call out for
or like
cry out for help.
Yeah, or like intervention. If you find out that someone's going into that deep of a dark spot. And, you might need to take away some things for them for a while. But please be proactive.
So that's at a serious risk level.
Yeah. So, no, that was actually immediate risk.
Immediate.
Yeah.
Okay.
So serious risk is someone who's talking about feeling trapped or in unbearable pain. Talking about being a burden to others.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
Yeah, it is. Increase the use of alcohol or drugs. That's why I was saying, if you notice
we're just not talking about on the weekend. We're talking about
like if you notice
consistent.
You're doing something a lot, maybe you need to ask yourself what it is you feel like you need to hide or escape from. And if you notice someone that you love is doing drugs a lot, they're obviously wanting to escape from reality. Why? Talk to them. Acting anxious or agitated, behaving recklessly.
Yeah. I notice when I'm really stressed out or having a lot of anxiety, I tend to be barky and sharp. And sometimes my wife actually has to point out and say, hey, like, I've had times where I've had a rough day at work or whatever, or I've got a couple different things that I'm stressed out about that I'm not really thinking about on the forefront of my mind, but they're weighing on me. And my wife will have to give me a little reset button, like, hey, you're being a little sharp with the kids, or you're being, and I get a reminder to be like, okay, all right, I'm obviously passing over my issue that I'm with right now on other people, and I need to start making some proactive steps to change my mood and change, whatever's really bothering me.
Mm-hmm. So then another one is sleeping too little or too much. So sometimes people are depressed and they want to escape from reality, so they sleep a lot. There's also sometimes, you get the people who are so worried about everything and feeling so bad they have problems with sleeping.
Even going to sleep.
Yeah, so watch for that. And there's nothing wrong with just checking in with someone saying, hey, are you okay? Do you have some stuff that's been going on or on your mind?
It's not just like, are you okay? Be like, no, really.
Yeah.
that like follow-up question, because you're immediately like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
I'm fine. No, but I really want to know.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Yeah. Like stuff like that.
It's okay to do that.
Or even to say, I noticed that you've been sleeping a lot less or sleeping too much. Are you feeling upset or stressed out? And say it in a sweet and loving way, and be like, if they say they don't want to talk about it, say, well, I'm here to talk to you, and then start helping them do some of the stuff we read before, being like, hey, guess what? I decided to go try paintball. You want to come?
Or you could offer to clean their toilet.
Yeah, or be like, hey, I noticed your house is kind of out of control. I came over to clean your house for you with you. Just like do anything you can, and hope that eventually they'll come around to talk about it.
Sometimes it's literally just an act of interrupting their destructive cycle. 'Cause
Yeah.
you can fall into that destructive cycle with yourself.
Yep.
And sometimes you just need your cage rattled
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
by
and
somebody else
they need to know that
in a loving way, obviously.
they need to know that you really care.
Yeah.
You mean it.
Yeah, exactly. So like she was, like our mom was bringing up before, if they're withdrawing or feeling isolated. So if you notice someone is coming around a lot less, or they voice that they feel alone, then that's something that's very important to address. If they're showing rage or talking about seeking revenge a lot, that's a dark space to be in.
That's really bad.
And,
They can hurt somebody else.
Yeah, well, think about it. Like, we've got all these school shootings and stuff who were kids who were isolated, maybe picked on, insecure, having problems at home. Nobody reached out to help them. And they, finally got to the point
Yeah, they're
where they
so
were
bitter and so
and
angry.
bitter that they went and they killed people. We need to be more aware as in a community. And, even if you aren't related to that person, if you see these kinds of signs in someone, do something. Try to help them. You know,
those often lead to murder suicide. It's like their intention is to do something
to hurt the people
hurt
who
the
hurt
people
them and then die.
also die.
Yeah, because they want revenge before they go.
Right.
But yeah, you could, if you're in your community, whether in schools or churches or just gatherings, notice someone's having a hard time. Don't try to, don't be creepy, but go over and start including them or talking to them, or, and if you feel like you could ask them how they're doing, do it. Do something. Don't tell yourself it's not your problem. I know we're all busy and we all have our own problems, and, but it'd feel good too. If you ended up actually helping, that would feel really good for you.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then displaying extreme mood swings is another sign, which is, that would obviously could happen to someone who's really struggling emotionally.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to say too, we will post, because you can actually also text now. God, I just get behind on the times. You can text talk to someone at the suicide lines. So if you're somebody who's more comfortable texting and doesn't want to actually talk to someone, that's also an option. We're going to post both of them down below. And we just want to tell you that we care about all of you. We appreciate all of you.
And it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
But what's not okay is to stay not okay and not try and do anything about it.
Exactly. And if you guys, if anyone's struggling, if you want to send us a message on our Twitter and just say, hey, I'd love to talk about something, or I want to, whatever, we would be happy to talk to you. If you're worried about someone, whatever, or if you have a story you want to share, we would love to hear that on our Twitter. Have you helped someone? Have you gone through the heartache of losing someone too, or almost, taken your own life before? I've had times where, I think we all have times where those thoughts can pop in our head occasionally, where, we just think it might be easier to just not be here, even if we'll never even do that. So, nobody should be in a position to judge that. And I feel like right now in society, people feel like it's not okay to not be okay. And I guess is what we want to say is it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah. Well, and then if there's anyone that's listening to this that's in that space where they're considering suicide, you also have to think about the effect that has on everyone around you.
That was the last thing I wanted to talk
Yeah,
about. To
because
wrap up.
it can be a very it's a very selfish thing, because you think, oh, the world will be better if I'm not here, but you might be a light in someone's life, or this big huge thing that they can't live without, and then you don't even know, and then you make that choice to leave. And then you don't realize the effect that you have on all the people
Who you leave behind.
that you left behind that love you.
Well, and I also want to throw out there are people who also kill themselves who want to say it's like almost like a revenge. Like, I'll show you, I'm gonna die, and you're gonna feel like terrible that I killed myself and that you didn't do anything and you weren't there for me. And so I just want to I want to throw out there that the people who are left behind have to carry that, and it's easy to blame. Like, I know a lot of us blame different things or carry different pains that we can never resolve because of the loss of our brother, child, whatever, that there is no closure for. And, there's children.
And he did it right
behind.
at Thanksgiving. So usually
the
around
21st,
around this
which
time.
is 2 days from when we're recording, by the way.
Yeah.
It's the 19th. But like, he left behind children who will never know a father. And, one who was too young to ever remember, anyway, my point, or a child, you couldn't leave children behind without knowing a father. There was only one woman involved. But, he left behind a baby who wasn't born and one who was here. And, those are people, there are people who need you. And you forget that. And there are people who are going to wish they'd seen signs, who are going to struggle. And, I just want you to know that you are loved more than you think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I want to say something just from the perspective of being a mother who lost a child that way. Is the other thing is, on my side of things, let it be okay if that happens to you, or if you experience that, or if you have experienced that and you haven't healed from it. I realized that the grieving process really can be a beautiful thing, and every emotion that I was feeling, instead of making myself wrong for feeling it, if I felt guilt, if I felt anger, if I felt resentment, if I felt hurt or not heard, or whatever it was, every time that came up for me, instead of making myself wrong for feeling it, I said, okay, this is okay. It's okay for me to feel this way. And somehow, in letting it be okay for me to feel that way, then I was able to embrace it and then let it go. So just for anybody out there who's maybe even
lost someone to suicide,
yeah. There's, the grieving process.
It's painful.
It's painful, but it's important, is what I'm saying. So let it be okay.
Yeah, let yourself feel all the levels of grief, or all the 5 phases. It's okay to even be angry for a while that the person decided to do that. It's okay. But let yourself feel it so that you can move on. Because you have to remember, you still have other people in your life around you who need you. Especially, I notice, sometimes you watch people who lose a child and then they have a hard time being there for the children that are still present. Remember that they need you, and that the person who died wouldn't want you to be so swallowed up with grief that you would allow your marriage to fall apart, or your children to be neglected, or your family to not have you around, or your friends to lose you. Remember that there's already been one loss, and that the people in your life don't deserve to lose you too.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, lots of love at you all. I know this was a serious topic, but we felt like it was important.
Hopefully we still put a smile on your face and made you giggle, and you're not like, man, I'm all depressed now that I listen to their podcast
And
episode
if you are,
today.
go to the mirror and make a funny face.
Yeah, I like myself.
All right. And
Thanks, guys.
We love you all. We'll talk to you later.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.